Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Andrew Warren, and today's video topic is going to be about could we be seeing another surge happening sometime soon for Tesla stock. So as you can see today, just with today's movement so far, we actually got like a mini surge at around plus 3.07%. And before we get into this video, as always, if you do enjoy the Tesla videos, please make sure to smash that like button. It really does help me out. But before we get into some in-depth conversation on the possibilities of Tesla stock over the next week or two, just to address the share price currently and the movements for today, as you can see, we are currently at a share value of $460.35 per share. And in the normal market hours today, we got a plus 3.28% gain, which is plus $14.65 added on to the share price. And then in the after hours, we have a minus 0.21% loss, which is minus 95 cents. So now that we've addressed that, this $460 is just a little bit off from the all-time high. So if you don't know already, the all-time high, at least if we look at the chart right here, it was $498 on this peak on August 31st. So for example, if we want to take a look at Tesla itself in the chart, as you can see, it says $498.32. And so we've had a lot of movements afterwards, after battery day and all of that. There was a huge battery day sell-off with this big run upwards based on the stock split hype and also battery day hype and stuff like that. And then we had this big sell-off. This was when it dropped like 20%, 22%. It bounces back upwards, then drops like another 12% again. And then as we can see, it's slowly starting to incline upwards. So basically we have a huge run up, a big spike downwards after the sell-off. It runs up again with some volatility here and there. Then it spikes back downwards, but a little bit less this time. Not as much as that original 20%, 22% drop. So at this minus 12% drop, it's a little bit less than the previous one, and we're still continuing to see a run up. We have another drop, which is less than this previous one. And then as you can see, the run up continues right now. So I don't know when the next drop is going to occur, whether it's going to occur tomorrow or maybe even just a few days from now after we have a few growth days. I honestly have no idea. And one thing that I really want to emphasize in this video especially is that making predictions on short term is almost like a lost cause, because short term is very, very unpredictable. So anytime that I'm making short term predictions on this channel, it's most likely just because I feel the need to do it for entertainment value and not necessarily because I have like huge faith in some sort of prediction that I have in the short term. Now, I'll let you all know if I do have a lot of faith in the short term prediction, which of course, one of those examples would be me saying that I think the Q3 earnings report is going to just dominate expectations. Even at this point in time, I feel like I can just go ahead and say that I think Tesla is going to totally beat expectations. That's going to come as no surprise to me. It may come as a surprise to some auto analysts that just have not been paying attention to Tesla stock or even trying to understand what this company is accomplishing right now. But still, I think that is one of those predictions that I can give in the short term that I have a lot of confidence in, which is that Tesla will beat expectations, considering that they recently just had a personal best record for delivery numbers and production numbers. I think the delivery numbers were like 139,300, and then I think production was like 145,000 or somewhere around there. So that's one thing I can say that I have a lot of faith in the short term, which is that Tesla will beat analyst expectations in their Q3 earnings report. But just another thing to add on top of this as well is this major topic of could we be seeing a surge happening sometime soon with Tesla stock? So this is definitely a hot topic because of course we are nearing this most recent all-time high share price. So a lot of us Tesla investors want to see it break its own record again and hit over $500 for the share price. So in terms of could we be seeing a surge happening sometime soon for Tesla, I feel like that is definitely a possibility. Now keep in mind, it can obviously go either way, but at this one, it kind of just makes sense. Now, we can't always predict what people are going to do and the decisions they're going to make in the market, but in terms of even if I was making a short-term play or a long-term play especially, obviously you all know that I'm a big long-term investor, so I don't like to play around much in the short term. I like to just simply buy and hold for the long term. But in regards to all of that, I do expect positive results for the Q3 earnings report. I expect them to beat expectations. Now, of course, where it gets confusing is the topic of could we see a sell-off happen even on the announcement of good results, or could we be seeing investors buy more? And at that point in time, the determination of what's going to happen with that is just going to depend on the general sentiment about Tesla and whether people think it's worth holding in the long term. And I think as time goes on and on and on, and as we see more progress happen happening with Tesla as a company, in which they're building more factories, they're innovating with their production lines and things like that to increase efficiency and optimization. And then also with them announcing new models as well, like the Plaid Model S, I think people are starting to see things come together as expected from a lot of us investors that understand that these things are pretty much inevitable at this point, with Tesla having the dominant position in the EV market in the future. But like I said, in regards to whether I think we could see a run-up, in a previous video I kind of covered this topic in which I said that I thought we could see a run-up in the share price before this Q3 earnings report. And so with that, you could say my predictions have already been correct, because we have seen a pretty notable run-up since then. I think we already went up like $30 on the share price since I made that previous video. So even if nothing happens after today, in a sense that prediction was correct, because I didn't say it would go up tremendously. I honestly have no idea, but I did say that I thought we would see maybe a little bit of a slight run-up, or even a notable one, as we start to get closer and closer to this Q3 earnings report. So there's obviously a lot to come with this week and next week. We still have a few days between now and October 21st, of course, so I don't know what's going to happen as we get much closer on the days of the actual earnings report. But in terms of just people getting excited about Tesla stock before this earnings report and stuff like that, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see a slight build up with the share price, considering that there's a lot of expectations for positive results with this earnings report. And plus, in general, if you're a long-term investor, it just makes sense to keep buying Tesla stock whenever you have money. At least that's my personal opinion and perspective on my investing strategies. Of course, anything that I say or have said in this video is not to be considered financial advice. I just think, in my personal opinion, with my logic and everything like that, with me being a long-term investor, I'm just buying Tesla stock whenever I can, whenever I have cash. And so I definitely think it makes sense to buy it before this Q3 earnings report. Now, I obviously don't know if there could be a sell-off afterwards, or even on the day of possible good news being announced, but still, in terms of just getting in and getting that position, I think in the long term it will pay off as a Tesla investor, at least in my position. And another thing to address with today's video as well is that in comparison to the sell-off with Battery Day, there's not as much of a possibility for disappointment as there was with Battery Day, because as we know, there was already so much excitement in the air with Battery Day, so many different predictions, so many different expectations, whereas with an earnings report, you can basically look at it as an investor and say, okay, did they beat expectations? Did they beat analyst expectations? And then also, like, what was the revenue and how are things looking in terms of all of these statistics? And so you don't really have as high of expectations with these earnings report as you would with like a major event like Autonomy Day or the Cybertruck unveiling, or even a day like recently with Battery Day. So there's not as much expectations with an event like this, at least in my opinion, to set up people for disappointment that could always, of course, lead to maybe a sell-off like we saw on Battery Day. And just to add this in there, I think there was a sell-off just because people fundamentally didn't understand some of the things that they were mentioning on Battery Day and how huge they were. The people that are actually in the battery world and especially employed in that business, they understand how huge that event was. And even as a Tesla investor myself that tries to do a lot of research on this company, I understood how huge that information was that was announced on Battery Day. However, like I said, there was a sell-off because of so many people having specific expectations, and then also them just not realizing some of their expectations were actually met but not really emphasized in that event so much. So like I said, with an event like the Q3 earnings report, really there's not as high of expectations in terms of, oh, we're expecting this certain type of product to be announced, or we're expecting this to be announced or that to be announced, or Elon Musk to say this. There's really just, do they beat expectations, and how tremendous is this compared to previous quarters and previous years? So that's really what people are going to be paying attention to with this Q3 earnings report. And so like I said, I feel like there's less of a chance to set up people for disappointment with just having less expectations with an earnings report, since it's basically all about, are these numbers impressive and do they beat analysts' expectations? So it's much different than like a super hyped up event where people are expecting things to be announced. And then also, just to have some transparency as well, just giving you all a heads up, I will likely be purchasing Tesla stock sometime this month. Ironically enough, I may be getting paid the same day as the Q3 earnings report. And it's ironic because it seems like these things always fall on similar time frames where I get paid on like the big days. So every time that I do have cash, it's either Tesla is at like a tremendous price because of the huge run up, and it's just like such a big day because of so much hype. So that is kind of unfortunate that it seems like I always get paid around the time of the big events and I never have time to buy it early. So that is why I used $1,000 on Robinhood margin that I'm going to pay back later this month as I get my cash to put in Robinhood. But just to have some transparency, like I said, I may be buying some Tesla stock this month, or I might also just simply be saving that and putting it in my Robinhood Roth IRA to buy some more Tesla stock. So that's something that I need to take care of this year as well, which is my Roth IRA. I've been thinking about waiting a little bit on that one, but I'm just not sure just yet. So I honestly have no idea whether I'm going to end up using this month's money for my Roth IRA or actually just to put it into Tesla stock in my taxable public account that I show on here. But regardless, I will be buying more Tesla stock most likely, depending on if I choose to put it in my Roth IRA or my taxable account. That will kind of determine the time frames for when I'll be investing, whether it's this month or next month or the month after. But in terms of just my general investment strategy and mindset, I'm just continuing business as usual. When I have cash, buy some Tesla stock. And then also, as I said, as we start to get a little bit more closer to tax time in 2021 in April, then I'm probably going to start to save up my money a little bit more just to make sure that I have enough to deal with that tax payment. But like I said, in terms of this month, I will likely be buying some Tesla stock, but that does depend on whether I choose to invest in my Roth IRA or my taxable account. Like I said, I just want to make sure I have my Roth IRA maxed out every year. In terms of just a general piece of investing knowledge, it's important to max out your really advantageous accounts like your Roth IRA because those have a limit on it. Your taxable account doesn't have a limit, but your Roth IRA does. So it's important to max that out. That's something that I always try to do every year. I first started investing in my Roth IRA last year, and I'm going to try to continue to do so every single year from now on. But anyways, I just wanted to share this video with you all and discuss the topic of could we be seeing a surge happening sometime soon with Tesla stock. Like I said, I think this is a possibility, but even if it doesn't continue on with this run up so far, we've already seen a pretty notable movement upwards. But like I said, we have some time left between now and October 21st, the Q3 earnings report. So there is some time for us to see a little bit more of a run up. If it does happen, like I said, it could go either way, but my expectation so far, if I were to give a short-term prediction, it would be that we might see a little bit more of a run up in the share price. So as always, please make sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, and also feel free to check out Robinhood and Webull in the description below. If you sign up with my referral link, you'll get some free stocks, and especially with Webull right now, you can get 2 free stocks valued up to $1,600, and to get that, all you have to do is sign up with my referral link and deposit $100 into your account. So keep in mind, you can take that $100 right back out after you get your free stocks. So it's basically just nice passive income with minimal effort, and it also helps support this channel as well. I just wanted to let you all know about that, but I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week.